Hey guys, Fearu here, and we are on episode number 23. Been doing all good. You might have noticed I got some hair missing. I got my hair cut finally. It's been forever, probably 3+ months. I think I have point like 3% female viewers. So you guys can tell me what you think. The whole 1% of you out there. Anyways, what are we talking about today? Today we're talking about defense. Um, it's really important. And it can mean a lot of things. So just to give you a rough idea of what we're gonna cover, I'm gonna discuss a lot of just items in general, why it's important. Then we're gonna talk about when the game initially starts, what you should be thinking about, um, and just kind of like the game plan that should go through your head. You see the two lineups, or maybe okay, what items do I want to go? Why do I want to go these items? Why are defensive items even good in the first place? And to explain that, I actually have a short story that I'm going to tell you real fast, and I'm use some in-game characters to help us out with that. So here we are in this cute little game. We're going to pretend both these heroes were mid, and they both just hit 6, and all they have is boots and bottle, boots and bottle, boots and bottle. Witch Slayer hit level 6, Pyro hit level 6. Seems pretty normal. Um, and I think this point helps demonstrate why defense is so important in a game. Um, so we're gonna just in this simulation, Pyro's gonna get the jump on Witch Slayer and gonna get the first spell off. Um, yeah, since we'll say he had vision, better vision of Witch Slayer. So he comes up and he's gonna drop a stun, throw his wave, get in an auto attack, and Witch Slayer's pretty much dead. There's not much Witch Slayer could do there. And that wasn't played perfect, and there's actually an opportunity. If someone was actually playing Witch Slayer, there's an opportunity to get minimized. But had I been playing Pyromancer Bear and this not been a test, I could have also landed in an extra auto attack and not had the silly no reticle for the no reticle for the stun. But okay, well, what if I'm managing Witch Slayer and Witch Slayer gets the jump? This is a lot easier to manage. All he's gonna do is run up, miniaturize, throw a graveyard, and then throw his ult. He's gonna get in one auto attack, and he's gonna get in the first attack. He's just gonna get one attack in, throw the graveyard, and ult. And now that I played relatively perfectly. I hope we agree there. If that happens in game, there's literally Pyromancer had no response. As soon as he gets that miniaturize off, he's dead. And that's actually the key. That was what I was trying to demonstrate with Pyro that I did poorly. So let me jump back out and kind of explain to you why I wanted to show you that. So believe it or not, the story actually continues, and it goes much further than where it started. So the purpose of that was just to show you that each hero can kill each other. And it took players a really long time to realize, what items should I go and why. And what happened initially was a lot of players loved Staff of the Masters. They were like, it does more damage. My Pyro all just, Witch Slayer all, everyone's dying all around me. I don't know what to do. And so you have this Pyromancer and Witch Slayer, and they're just going Staff of the Masters back and forth, back and forth. And one day Pyro was like, man, this Witch Slayer and me, we keep going up to each other, and the person who wins is always the person who gets the first attack off, gets lucky and gets that stun or gets that miniaturize. And man, I need to find some way to get an edge. And one day he goes, you know what? Instead of going Staff of the Masters first, for that same cost, for 3,900 gold, I'm gonna go Shrunken Head. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go Shrunken Head. When he comes up and he tries to miniaturize me, whoo, I'm gonna pop it. I'm gonna be all gold and stuff and blow him up. And it's gonna be great. There's nothing he can do about it. I'm gonna win every match. So now these guys go weak. So they keep going, and poor Witch just keeps buying Staff, and Pyro, he keeps buying Shrunken Head, and well, Pyro keeps on win. So Witch is like, man, this is not good. How do I counter this? He just keeps going Shrunken Head. Do I just go Shrunken Head too, and we're just back to square one of hitting each other? He goes, no, I need to think how to beat this. This is beatable. And he goes, you know what? Instead of waiting until 3,900 gold to finally get that Shrunken Head, at 2,000 gold, I'm gonna get a portal key. And now I'm going to initiate every time. That first attack is so important. Heck, I'm going to be wherever I want when I want. And now who's going to get graveyarded? quick shot to the face. And that pyro, dead, dead. And this is only to represent kind of the transition that the game's made over time. And this is by no means saying you should always go portal key on either of those two heroes, but it's just to represent the thought process as to why we actually do it. And to every item and to every build a person goes, there is an optimal counter. But the problem is with 5 heroes on both teams, being optimal can be very, very difficult. And knowing exactly what the right response is can be difficult. So now I want to discuss just a few more items and what you should be thinking about, why you should go those items, and why they are so helpful. Okay, so there are a lot of defensive items out there. So I just kind of wanted to go over a few of them to get just give you guys my opinions on why we actually buy them, and things you should be thinking about, as to what items do I pick up and why do I actually pick them up. So the first items I want to talk about are Helm and Mystic Vestments. They both serve the same purpose essentially, and it's to survive burst damage. You want to be able to survive burst damage. You need to know how much burst damage your opponents have, and they're both super cost effective. Mystic Vestments is probably the most cost effective item in the game, and what I mean by that is just it's really effective as soon as you get it, and it's probably something you will not have in your inventory if I gave you infinite gold and you got to fill 6 slots with whatever you wanted to. So you need to realize how much burst damage your opponents have. A good example is, whatever their best ganker on the opposing team is, whether it's Fade, Pebbles, Parasite, whatever it is. Let's just say you're Magebane. You need to be able to survive. Your goal should be able to survive any one hero's burst damage. That's the goal. That's kind of what you saw from that Pyromancer Witch Slayer example. You need to be able to say, hey, I can survive their burst damage. So even if Pebbles PK Stalagmites chucks me combo, whatever. I'll be able to survive it and give some sort of response. And if you can survive that damage when they're missing on the map, whether it's Fade or whether it's Pebbles or Parasite, if you can survive as long as just that one person's missing, and let's say you're Magebane and you can survive Fade's her ult and then the stun, and before the stun, after the stun goes off, you still have time to blink out. Being able to survive that damage, now you don't have to be worried when she's missing. It takes 2 heroes to kill you, so now you only have to be on red alert when they're more than one person's missing, which can help you farm. That means if you see 4 bottom, you can just farm because you can survive that burst. And that's why we pick up these items, and you should constantly be asking yourself, can I survive this person's burst? And if you can't, you need to be saying, okay, what items do I need to pick up to survive that person's burst? What's the most effective way to do that? The next time I want to talk about Astrolab. Okay, so Astrolab is super cost effective to like the nth degree. You'll see it in so many competitive games. And there's a huge reason why you see it in competitive games and why it's more effective in competitive games than lower MMR plays. So big difference between competitive games and lower MMR games, and I've said it a million times and I'll keep on saying it, is competitive games are going to be quicker, they're going to be more team orientated. They're going to, your teams are going to be getting into combat more often with, more teammates involved. Whereas your lower MMR games, you're going to have one person farming, and then, oh, that guy's farming, I'm going to farm, and then someone else decides to farm, and you get into these 1v1 situations much more often, and then these extended fights that result in 1v1s. So, you need to kind of judge your game and how it's going to figure out if you actually want to pick up Astrolab, because, let's say you're Plague Rider, if it doesn't look like you're going to be getting into team fights, where Astrolab is most effective, maybe that's not the item you want to pick up against a team. Maybe you need to figure out how to survive Predator's burst, and you're like, maybe I'll just get a Void Talisman instead, because right now I need to be worried about keeping myself alive. I don't need to be worrying about keeping the team alive because we're not really getting into team fights, and it doesn't look like we're going to be doing that anytime soon. It's a little bit harder to judge, and it's actually it's harder to predict, which sucks because it's a lower MMR game. It should be easier, but you're not actually sure if this is the right item to go. If you're communicating well and you're pushing and you have a coordinated team, okay, yeah, it's gonna be super effective. If you're healing 5 people, it's great, but that's not the item you want if you're getting jumped by yourself and you just you're healing yourself for 25% of your health and then you just die. Um, so that's kind of do you want to pick up this item? That is a big determinant of if you want it, is how quickly you're getting into team fights and if they're actually happening. Last time I want to talk about Shroud. Um, there's so many things to say about Shroud. There's the obvious, if you have Invis heroes on your team, don't give the opposing team incentive to go Rev Wards or an Eye. Just that should make obvious sense. The biggest reason I hate Shroud is because it's a glass cannon item. It still keeps you in that idea of that Pyro versus Witch Slayer. It's going to be it does not help you defensively, although it helps you escape. And its effectiveness is typically dependent on how bad your opposing team is. The worse players they are, the more effective Shroud is. And Shroud essentially gets less effective as the game goes go on. It's practically never seen in competitive games. There are, that 5% or so of games where it will show up and pop its head. Ginjoro does help. It helps it be more of a late game effectiveness. Typically, I try to avoid it though. They're usually better pickups, and I don't like items that are reliant on my opponent's, um, you know, ineffectiveness to properly respond. Although I know it can be fun. There are unique times for it, but there are very few. I personally try to avoid it. Again, I suppose that's just opinion, although it can be quite effective. So that's all I have for you guys today. Um, my next episode, I'm going to be talking about offensive items. We'll be talking about physical versus magical, getting into kind of that whole idea. I know there were some items I didn't cover, Null Stone being one of them, a few of the supportive items. I promise you I'll get to them. I just want to start talking about a few of them now so that when we get into looking at some of these matchups, I'll be able to criticize my choice of items and my opponent's choice items, what I thought we could have picked up. I just wanted to give you an idea of some of those key concepts of defensive items. So until next time, guys, I will see you later.